Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ajay Patel show. Uh, I did give a heads up. I did give a heads up. I said, hey, you know what? I might miss last week. Turns out I completely did. Welcome to episode 33. I am finally back from a little bit of a vacation with, loose quotes around it. I did take off work, but I don't know how relaxing it was. It is always nice to get away from everything, and then you come back a little programmed, right? You come back like, oh, you know what? I am a little bit ready to get back to work. And as great, you know what? Like it's kind of weird. I feel shy right now. Like I'm my voice, I can hear it myself just be a little dim. I haven't recorded in a while. I think I've missed maybe 2 weeks now. With a week in between. So I apologize for if my voice sounds a little bit low, or if I don't have the same inflection, or if I'm not looking at the camera directly. Those are just first date jitters. We'll get over that as I keep chugging this coffee next to me. Like I was saying, I think, don't get me wrong, there's nothing like traveling. There's nothing like traveling, leaving your country, leaving your state, going somewhere, trying some new stuff, seeing some new faces. Maybe you tried the subway, the subway. You know what I'm saying? You get on the subway, you're like, oh, wow, like this train is really efficient. I didn't have to get everywhere by car. Oh my gosh, this country practices this. This is so great. These people are so awesome. There's so much rich history here. Wow, this is so amazing. But there's also nothing like coming back home. Every single time I've left the country, by the time I'm coming back, there's never been a time that I've said, you know what, I think I'd rather stay. There's never ever, whether I'm in London, when I went to Cartagena, when I went to Trinidad, when I was in Italy, like I just was, there was never a time that I was like, damn, you know what, I don't really want to go back. There is nothing like coming back to the US of A. US of A, as many problems as there may be here, there's nothing like coming back to the US of A. Nothing like it. I literally go through global pre-check because, I don't want to be with the peasants in the regular passport line. I go through the global pre-check like a breeze, I'm dapping people up at the pre-check line. Yeah. What's up, man? Global entry. Yeah, you good. Hey, y'all ready to be back? All that to say, I am happy to be back home. I was kind of venting to Isha mid vacation. I'm sure she didn't enjoy the earful I was giving her of nonsense, but I was just like, bro, I you reach a point, right? You reach a point where you're going to a bunch of weddings. Costs, I told you, whether you're at weddings or not, costs come up. When you're at this age, I don't know what it is where it's just inevitable. Costs come up, whether you got to pay for a house, whether you got to buy a car, whether you have some construction to do, whether you got to invest in your work. Maybe you own a business and you got to put some money forward for it. And at the same time, I've made this commitment to myself where it's like, I'm going to do this podcast for a hot minute. I told myself it's going to happen because the last thing I want is to make it, let's say what I'm at, I'm in 30s, right? I don't want to be 30 episodes deep and then people be like, man, remember that time you had a podcast? Hey, bro, hey, hey, pull the podcast video. Remember when you was talking on a microphone? That's the last thing. That's the last thing I need this to turn into. And so I've told myself, I've committed myself, as many as, like these random weeks I've missed here and there. I've told myself, bro, that you gotta commit. You gotta commit, and then you gotta get this thing in a direction. Right now, it's kind of just like that scatter plot you see, and you're like, oh, there's no trend here. Right. It's sometimes there's a little 100 views, sometimes there's 30 views, sometimes there's this, that. There's not a trend here. And and I was venting about how in any field, whether you start a podcast, whether you're working your 9 to 5, whether you want to become a DJ, whether you want to know how to fix a house, whether you want to learn how to cook, in any field, there's a direct correlation between time and just effort given, right? And sometimes people are a little bit more efficient in their effort, right? Sometimes people are just naturally born a little bit smarter than others. Sometimes people are a little bit more talented than others. I'm sure if someone wanted to learn how to dance, I'm sure they could do it. They may not learn as easy as someone else, but with a certain amount of time, you can get to that level of success. And so what I was venting about is like, we're almost at June. January, March, April, May, June. The 6-month mark. And that's halfway through the year where it's just like, bro, if you look at that resolution podcast that I was talking about, and we truly reflect on what I was saying. The only thing that I think I've been a little bit better on is eating better. And even then, that shit's here and there. So it's hard to be on some of these vacations where other people can easily clock out, right? Their laptops are closed. They're not thinking about anything that's going on at home. And they go to another country and they're just enjoying themselves. And that's the tough part that I haven't gotten used to. Where sure these weddings are easy and I have a good time when I'm there because there's so many people around me. But like when people were asking me today at work, like, oh hey, how was vacation? How was this? It's like, like it was cool. But at the same time, like when you move to a different state and you want to pursue a field and it's a tough field to break into, you got to put time in. And it's hard to kind of have momentum while you keep breaking it with these pauses, right? You go to this wedding. Okay, you're back home for this. Okay, now you're getting married. Okay, now you got to do this event. Okay, now you have this person's birthday. Oh, it's going to be in this country. You see what I'm saying? Like, yes, I understand. Sorry, I'm getting too close to the mic here. Yes, I understand there's a level of complaining I'm doing here. I get it. I just wanted to give this to y'all. I'm complaining a little bit and I understand that to a certain level of discipline, it's all possible, especially with something like this. I can take a microphone anywhere I go. I can set up a tripod. I can sit in a room and I can start talking and I have an episode. That's just how it is. It works. So I was able to do that in Cartagena. At Cartagena, is that where I was? Colombia, same thing, whatever. And it was fine. It's just a matter of the friction is a lot less if you're at home, right? It's a lot easier to work on the thing you normally work on in the environment that work normally happens in. But enough complaining. Enough complaining. This was my first time in Italy. Now, like I've told y'all, I did decent in school, not geography, and I did not know Rome was in Italy. We fly into Rome. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to cover here is 3 things. 1, traveling in general. 2, traveling with kids. Now, I don't have kids, but I was accompanied by my sister and her kids. And then the third thing we'll cover is the food in Italy versus America. So we start with the group that we went with. Okay. Let this police siren pass by. Okay, we're good. The group that we went with, this was for my mom's 60th birthday. So I will say, as I've gone back this past week and look at these pictures where I'm like, damn, this was pretty dope. Like not a lot of families get to have this, where my mom's turning 60 in a later month in the year, but it's a matter of, hey, you know what? We can pull this trip off now. I think we need to do it now. And it's a suitable time for everyone to go. Cool. My mom, my dad, myself, my sister, her husband, and their 2 kids, and the fold in the mix, the last minute ingredient, which it's kind of unpredictable, but at the same time, you kind of just got to let the dominoes fall because this is a thing that you eventually want to become a normal thing. Isha came. So my now fiance came on this family trip. Now, I don't know if I've told y'all before, but I'm not a fan of family trips. I think there's too many opinions. I think there's too many disagreements, and the friction and the small amount of area to move around in creates more problems than the joy that's had. Now that has gotten easier with my sister having kids because there becomes this anchor point where it's like, oh, okay, you know what? No one can really yell at each other because you don't want to yell in front of kids. So yeah, there'll be a little remark here and there, but things kind of come back down, right? They don't ever get to that point where people get mad at each other and then they stop, then they're not talking to each other. So imagine, hey, you know what? You now have your now fiance coming on this trip. It was a thing to think about. It was a thing to think about, but at the same time, like I said, where it's just like, it is what it is. You kind of hope, like, okay, you know what? I'm pretty sure this person's a good person. So I feel confident in putting this person in front of my parents and my sibling for an extended period of time in a small space. So let's focus first on traveling with kids. Now, I'm a pretty impatient person, along with pretty anxious. I worry too much about keeping peace in public. Like if I'm walking too slow on a sidewalk that everyone's walking fast on, I get anxious. Or I don't know. I feel like I'm just being a decent person and I start walking fast, right? Because everyone else is walking fast. I got to make sure I'm walking fast. I got to fit into the culture. I don't want to disrupt anything that's going on around me. And when you have kids present, it's unpredictable. It is unpredictable. My two nephews are 5 and 1. So the one that's 1, you can kind of just hold. He ain't doing anything. He might get annoyed here and there at a restaurant. The one that's 5, my man has an imagination like no other. And he's an absolute wrecking ball. But at the same time, I get it. Like I 100% understand how kids can sometimes just, start being like, yo, get me out of here. I am completely bored. We were in the Amalfi Coast and then we were in Rome. And, a lot of the things in Rome and, more so the Amalfi Coast, it's the wow. It's the, oh my gosh, look at the coast, look at the boats, look at the beautiful ocean. Oh, look at the structure. Wow, the Colosseum. Wow, this art piece. Wow, this 18th century painting. A 5-year-old doesn't give a fuck about that. They do not care about that shit. So I can completely understand when they're just getting irritated, right? Where it's just like, I don't want to do this. I want something fun. I want something interactive. I want to throw something at something. I want to eat food and watch TV and jump around and just have fun. So this was my first trip with them, right? An international trip with them. And at times I lost my cool where it's just like, yo, hey, stop. Hey, cut it out. And then I'd have to check myself where it's like, bro, that dude is 5 years old. You are 30 years old. You are about to be 30 years old over here griping at this 5-year-old. Like, I don't even care about these paintings. How can I ask him to be? All I cared about at 5 years old was maybe Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Power Rangers. I think Yu-Gi-Oh cards probably came around when I was 8 or 11. So Power Rangers? I didn't care about no Rome. And so then the question came into my head, right? Where it's like, is this trip easier? Right? Is this trip easier? Is it easier to plan? Is it easier to move around? Is there more places you can go if you do not have kids present? I don't think that was an option, right? Because then it's like, then if those kids don't come, then my sister and brother-in-law don't come. And that's just part of the equation. And the answer is yes, right? The answer is 100% yes. Things become easier. But at the same time, you end up in this weird scenario loop. So I was on this trip with my parents, and I am someone that grew up not really traveling much. When I was young, I stayed local. And then when I got to a certain age, the only place that we would really go is London to see my grandparents and back. We went to India one time, but at that point I was 15, 11, somewhere between 11 and 15. And so by that age, everyone's kind of self-sufficient. You can go use the bathroom by yourself. I don't have to worry about you running off. And also by the time I was 11, I was like 6 foot. So no one was kidnapping me. But we didn't travel much when I was a kid. There's a 5-year age difference between me and my older sister, and pretty similar to my 2 nephews, where I can understand, maybe she's getting bored and I'm, still being fed by a bottle. But we didn't travel much, and I get it, right? It's hard. Firstly, it's expensive as shit. It's hard, and my parents didn't really know where the hell to go. There's not like this marketing like there is now where, oh, you open up TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you see, oh wow, that's the Amalfi Coast. Oh, that's Positano. Oh, you can do that there. Oh, there's these restaurants in this place. Oh, it costs this much to go here. Oh, okay, this is all feasible. Everything seems a lot more easy to do because it's now being presented. People are talking about how they've done this and that. And so we didn't travel much. And now you get to this point where the boat that my parents are in is they're trying to squeeze in as much as possible while they still have the energy and mobility to do so. Right? My parents are about 60 years old each. And my mom, obviously, my dad doesn't care. Look, my dad does not care about traveling. He's similar to me, but he doesn't even care to see other stuff, right? He enjoys it. I think he enjoys it. He has a good time, right? He has a beer wherever the local beer is. But my mom wants to see the world. And so the loop I'm talking about is if you make the decision to not travel with your kids while you have your youth, your energy, your resources, right? You can easily survive with 4 hours of sleep when you're 30 versus when you're 55. And so if you don't travel with your kids when you're younger, and sure, you take on a little bit of burden, and we'll talk about the hell of traveling in a second, then you end up later on in life where after they graduate college, because that's the window, right? You can travel before they're in school and before they got to go to band practice and this soccer game and meet up this person at this awards event. You lose that middle window. You have to participate in that shit. Sure, you get spring break to go do something. Boo hoo. You got to go by their schedule. Oh, you don't want to eat that place. Okay, we'll go here. Full freedom you still have when they're kids. And so then if you miss that window and you miss their teenage years, by then you're 45, 50, and it's tough. Then you want to save all your traveling for that. So like after thinking about it, sure, it might be easier, but you can't limit yourself to that. You just can't limit yourself to that. In addition to that, where it's like, you're getting to see the world. You're getting to see the world while you have some kids. And on top of that, your kids are seeing the world. They see different colored people. They hear different languages. They're seeing different, like just different walks of life. They don't, they're not just spending all their time in Los Angeles talking about, wow, everyone's rich here. They get to see some poorer parts of the country or the world. They get to see the Houston, Texas, and I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if you have kids or if you're planning on having kids, yes, that shit is going to be hard to travel. And I understand I may be a little bit hypocritical because I'm nowhere near, I don't know, I don't want to say nowhere near, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not near that scenario. But I think you just got to travel with them little motherfuckers. I spent too much time on that, so I'm going to start moving it a little bit easier. But the next thing I want to talk about is traveling, and I've done a decent amount of traveling in the last couple months, but traveling has become this new hell. Like if you look up some 1980s ad, 1970, I don't know when flying commercial airlines started, but if you look up some ad from back then, you'll see people in suits smoking cigarettes on the plane, walking around after they get in the air, talking to each other. You don't have to wake up the person next to you to use the restroom. You can just walk over them. If you travel in today's age, it's got to be the most miserable shit ever. You see everyone frantically moving around. People are running to their gate. People are getting fully naked at security. Oh shit, their bag's 64 pounds. Let me go get another bag. Sorry. People are unpacking their bags in front of everyone on the floor of the airport just to make sure they can get their bag to 51 and a half. Then they go through security. They're getting whatever random check-in, what all that crap. They go through, oh, I'm going to go get some food. They're waiting in a line for that. You pay about $20 for a McChicken. Then you get on this plane. Now, this is the worst part, right? The airport part's kind of decent. Actually, not really. The whole, oh, you know what? I got to go early to get to the lounge. That shit's dead. The lounge is dead. After all these credit cards have added this stupid benefit of the lounge, like, remember when it was just American Express that had access? If you either had the Chase, whatever the highest tier Chase card was, or the highest tier American Express card was, you were in the lounge. Now, every single credit card gives you priority pass, and you got 1,000 people in this thing. You can't get a seat. You can't even get in. There's a line to get into this priority pass lounge. What exclusivity even exists with this anymore? This shit is trash. It's just not, there's no benefit, right? You're better off just finding a handful of open seats. Maybe you go pay for a martini or two at the shitty Mexican restaurant located in Terminal A, and you get on the plane. Now, the plane, like I said, is the worst part. It's a 10-hour journey from Dallas to Rome. And these seats have gotten smaller. The space in between the seats have gotten smaller. The service has gone to hell. American Airlines needs to invest in young employees because they got all these old people. And look, let me not talk shit because my old ass dad is still working for American Airlines, so I don't want them to get rid of his ass. But all these, 100-year-old women and 89-year-old dudes as the flight attendants. If you go to anywhere in Europe, I traveled Finnair on the way back. Now that's the airlines of the what's it called? What the fuck's the Holland, Finland? What are the Nordic people? That's the airline of the Nordic people, or any other. Honestly, Indian airline or European airline, it's young employees. They're helpful. They'll help you lift your bags. Oh yeah, you need anything? I got you. American Airlines employees, you have to help them. You have to, grab the water from their shaking ass hand before they spill it on you. It's not an enjoyable experience. You can't walk over anyone. If you got to use the restroom and you're in the window seat, you got to wake up everyone in the aisle to get out. The bathroom has become tiny, right? You can't move around in there. The snacks and food they just throw at your ass, and then the half of that stuff's crap. People are getting irritated with other people that have kids because they're crying or they're yelling and stuff, and it's like, bro, like you paid probably $400 for this shit. You're an economy. You can't complain. What are you complaining about, bro? There's this false myth that like traveling should be peaceful. And it doesn't exist. Traveling is not peaceful. And I understand what you might be talking about. Oh, well, if you're in business, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, if you're in business or first, you get a little bit of separation, right? You don't have to deal with the yelling. You don't have to deal with 100 people in your cabin. It's a different vibe. I'm talking about when you're in the back of the plane. There's going to be kids back there. There's going to be people screaming. Help them. Like, imagine how much you didn't enjoy traveling by yourself. Now imagine you are now with your spouse and a bunch of kids. Your kids. They're not having a good time. They're just trying to get to their destination. This part is the part that they've been dreading the most. They don't know how to keep these little devils entertained for the next 10 hours. I've been on plenty of plane rides where I just see frantic parents. And now that I have become an uncle since whatever X amount of years ago, I definitely make it a point to be like, hey, bro, let me take that. Like, let me take this bag and help you put it up. What can I help you with to make your life easier? Because everyone else is going to look at you like, oh, God, they're on this plane. Can I get a seat change? Traveling has become this new hell. And if you, for the love of God, if you miss your flight or if you arrive to your terminal late and you got a layover, they don't care. There, it doesn't exist where it's like, oh, hey, you know what? Everyone else on the plane, could you stay seated? And then, we got these two people connecting at whatever flight. We had to connect from that Finnair flight in about 10 minutes. By the time we landed from our first flight, we got the notification that they were boarding for the next flight. We're in row 8. Oh, shit, we're going to get off this bitch in no time. No time. Then you see everyone in first class turn around towards the back. Now, I didn't understand shit because, everything was in Nordic. But we have to go through the back exit now and then get on this shuttle, then go to the airport, then go through security or passport control. Then you got to run to your gate that's on the other side of the airport. Traveling is not this whole luxury experience. Even if you watch TikToks and stuff, these people are miserable on the plane. You literally see the beginning of, like you got some hot girl or some passport bro talking about, yeah, I'm going to Finland this weekend. I'm going to Australia, and they show themselves on the plane. They look miserable. They're over here eating Skittles and Cheetos for dinner. And then they finally get to their destination, and that's where the joy is. They get to be outside again. The whole traveling aspect of it. And look, I pay for the what if I had the opportunity to pay for a premium economy, I would do that. But I never really do it at the time of booking. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of a afterwards, like kill me slowly. Like take $500 from me now and then take another 100 from me later. Don't charge me for 600 right now. And I always get the extra legroom seats, and I'm just like, bro, I do not know how people do this otherwise. If you ever have the opportunity to get business class, premium economy, exit row, anytime you can put money towards a better seat, you gotta do it. Not to program you, I'm gonna start thinking like I can make more. No, it's just fly more comfortable. You'll arrive at your destination in a better mood, and everything will be better. Lastly, my thoughts on Italy. Italy was dope. I will say Italy was pretty cool. The amount of things you can do there and the culture there was very welcoming. The servers there, I will say, blew my mind. I understand that I had a language barrier when I was there. The same way I had one in Colombia, and I complained about it. But I could understand a little bit more and get by a little bit more with Spanish. I didn't know a lick of Italian. I didn't know a single word, bro. So that's like I don't even understand context clues. So unless someone's pointing at something or kind of speaking with their hands quite literally, I didn't understand shit. But as far as the people, like I was talking about the culture and like the servers you would have there, the best. And they're not like the American ones. Oh boy, oh boy. In Italy, there's no tipping, right? You pay with your card, and that's it. They give you a receipt at the end. There's no 15 or 20 to 22%. What about 25%? There's none of that shit there. And you still get better service. And it makes you think about, there's this culture here. There's this culture in America where it's like tipping. Let's let Chili's pay this dumb motherfucker $3 an hour, and then we'll make sure the rest of the people in society take care of the rest of his salary. This shit's horrible. And then you still get a horrible amount of service because everyone feels like they're entitled to 25%. You didn't cook the food. I placed this order in on a tablet, and all you did was ask if I needed ranch. All you did was bring me my ranch. And you want me to tip 25%? The culture here is horrible. We've talked about tipping, how horrible it is. I just have this thing now, especially after seeing it in a different country where it's like, service can be good. Did tipping ruin service? Where there instead of it's just people that care about the customer experience. You got these people that are just going for a dollar amount. They don't care about, how you enjoyed your stay. They just want to get you to the end. Hey, here's the check, bro. 15, 20, 15 or 20 or 25. The culture here is just so bad. And being in Italy only kind of reawoke this anger that I have towards the American service system in certain aspects. So the culture there was very nice. People were very nice to us, helped us carry strollers down if we, down a staircase if we need help with that. Oh, hey, you have kids. Here's a coloring book. Oh, did you guys need help finding something? Oh, that's over there. Oh, you guys should try this restaurant. The culture is great. Oh, you have to have this wine. This the country itself, I don't know too much about. I'm sure I only scratched like the surface. The Amalfi Coast, for the most part, I will say wasn't that enjoyable. I get it. It's a different vibe if you're going with just your significant other versus if you're going with family. But they have a car problem. They have a car problem just like the United States. Probably major cities, right? Where it's just like there are way too many cars on the road. You can't get anywhere because you're in traffic for most of the time. You get to the popular places, right? Like Positano, Capri, Sorrento. And you're walking on the streets and you have to keep moving over to the side every 5 seconds because there's a car coming down. It's not a very enjoyable space to just be. It's not like a little countryside where you're just walking in the grass and you're just, free from people. There was parts. So then you get to Rome, right? Positano the Amalfi Coast, I didn't care for too much. The food was very subpar. At one point there, I said, America has better pizza than this spot, than this area. And I fully stand behind that statement. I think for pound, you will find better Italian food in America than you will in Italy. Not healthier, better. I understand we throw like 10 pounds of butter in our Italian food, but that's what I'm talking about. Then we finally got to Rome. Rome was dope. Rome just had a much more European London vibe that I agree with much more. I like the dark colors around me. I don't need the coast. I just need some city. I need some buildings. And that was just much more my flavor. That's when we started having some fire shit. The pasta in Italy destroyed any pasta I've had here. Yes, even the spicy rigatoni from Carbone, I've had that shit, you hype beast. I've had that. The pasta there was amazing. And I know everyone talks about, oh, well, the pasta that you have, the pizza that you have in Italy, you get so much less bloated than, when you have the food here. Boo-hoo, whatever. I'm just worried about the taste. I worry about the after effects much later. The pizza, though, I was disappointed for the most part with all the pizza that I had. And I stood by the statement where it's like, America has better pizza. I think any Italian person with an ounce of dignity took his talents to New York and has a pizzeria there. So I take away the statement, pound for pound, America has better Italian food, better pizza, creativity, crust, all that shit. And then I had one spot that completely changed my mind and then let me know, okay, you know what? There's got to be some more pockets that you can discover. When I was going to too many restaurants, because you have to when you have a party of 7, you got to find some tables that fit everyone. So that's different. When you go to a little mom and pop shop in the corner and you got to wait in line for an hour because basically every American has discovered this place, that shit was fire. Hopefully I can attach a video or a picture or something. And that was probably the best pizza I've had in the last decade. That shit was fire. That's in my top 5 of all pizzas I've ever had. Speaking of, I have a pizza on the way right now. I just wanted to do a taste test, you know what I'm saying? So the food overall, I will say, it's cool if you like Italian. Like if you love pasta, then you gotta, Italy's a place for you to go. The other side of, the whole food craze was the history craze. It is pretty dope. We went to Pompeii at one point. For those that know what Pompeii is, basically a civilization slash city that got absolutely wrecked by a volcano in whatever year. And they have this whole area set up where you're just walking through where these people used to live, where these people used to go to the gym, where they used to have coffee stands and groceries sold. It's pretty wild where it's like, damn, that volcano over there in the distance destroyed this shit here that I'm standing on. That I had a much, I love that. Well, I didn't love that they got messed up by the volcano, but in due time, it'll happen to us too. But what I loved was just like that type of museum. I don't like going to, the MoMA and putting in headphones and being like, oh wow, this art piece is okay, okay. This was dope where you're in history, where you're standing on the ground of other people that stood on this shit. Same thing for the Coliseum. The Coliseum was cool, a little bit overrated. Going inside was a little bit overrated. Standing outside, it's a marvel to see. It looks beautiful when the night lights turn on and you just see that kind of all encompassed. It looks amazing. The history, honestly, you know, it was all right. And then outside of that, you see a lot of, oh, this is what Michelangelo painted. This is what this artist painted. And that part is also pretty cool, where it's just like, damn, like all of this shit that you hear about in school for so many years. Oh, you got to memorize that this person painted this person painted this. Oh, the Ninja Turtles were named after these guys. That all came from here. So the history side of it was dope also. I've been talking about Italy for too long. So all in all, would I recommend going to Italy / Rome? Yes. It was a dope spot. I think the people are cool. I think you just need to learn a couple of common phrases, find some, more highly rated food spots, and you'll have a great trip. I've talked about, the world of AI on here a handful of times, but recently I just watched this the YouTube video that Chat-GPT put out on OpenAI put out on Chat-GPT 4.0, and this shit is next level. Like, I'm telling y'all. If you work anywhere in tech, you need to get on board this AI shit. After seeing this video, I knew the end is near. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years. Hopefully, you're at a position where you're not too much at risk, but the end in a lot of these tech jobs is very near. I'm currently a data analyst, essentially, right? A different title, essentially same role. The things that AI configurations will be able to accomplish could replace an entire team of 12 data analysts, 12 data scientists, an entire data organization group, right? Because as the data people, your job is to present the company, right? Stakeholders in the company, maybe someone that's in charge of supply chain, maybe someone that's in charge of engineering with solutions to their problems, or more so color commentary on the things that they're hearing about in the company. Oh, hey, Balenciaga sales are down. What's happening? And it's going to get to a point where these AI systems exist where I can just ask an online platform, hey, I saw Balenciaga sales were down. What's going on? And that system will be able to spit out, hey, well, last year you spent X amount of dollars on marketing, or hey, last year you had this many items available, and this year you have X amount of items available. Therefore, this is your problem. Like that, right? It won't be an open request that I send into the abyss to some manager, and I wait for that manager to put it on one of their associates, and then that associate spends time talking to me. Oh, you want to know this? Oh, okay. And how do you want it in a dashboard? Oh, okay. I need to open a ticket. Let me talk to my PM and my software engineer to try to get you that. That's not that. That's all going to go away by me quite literally talking to a computer. I repeat, if you are in tech, start getting on the AI train as fast as you can. This ChatGPT video, 4.0, right? A couple things is it's becoming free now. So Before it was a pay-based model. Why it's becoming free, I don't know what's happening. I haven't kept up that much with it. But the bulk of this video consisted of their assistant. The assistant that they kind of showed on the phone that was essentially a Jarvis. If you think of Iron Man and you think of Tony Stark in the suit being like, hey, Jarvis, what's the temperature? Hey, Jarvis, what's that coming in the upper atmosphere? Hey, Jarvis, where should I go eat tonight? All of that is what now exists. For like these assistants that already digital assistants that already exist, such as Siri and Alexa, they're done. They're cooked, right? I 100% think Apple will have some type of AI system that's a little bit way more better than what Siri is right now, and that'll come out whenever Apple decides so. But this will completely replace that, where you can easily ask this Chat-GPT, this 4.0 system, hey, could you summarize the last paragraph of To Kill a Mockingbird? Could you give me a 3-page report on chairs in Rome? Chairs in Rome? What the fuck are you talking about? Hey, I'm in the market for a new TV and I have 50 inches to spare and I need it by this Friday for this price point. Boom, there's an answer. All of this shit is going to be at the palm of your hand by talking to it, by talking to the system. And that's the wild part, where it's like, it's essentially a robot assistant that exists and that is much more efficient and that can actually answer questions. I literally, before I started recording, I asked Alexa, I don't want to say it too loud because then she'll activate. I asked her, hey, what's the weather outside? And she quite literally said, I don't understand your question. That is going to be gone. Gone. I don't care if you can order me toilet paper. That's going to be gone. On top of that, in other news that I haven't really kept up with this Chat-GPT world of things, is one of their board members recently quit. I think there's been this hesitancy around safety, right? Where is this going? Is this going in a safe direction with the amount of growth and trajectory that we're taking it with? Obviously, with anything in any company, if you take it at a certain speed, it can crash and burn, right? It can end up backfiring and things mess up, especially with what America is known to do. You know what I'm saying? We like to push things to the limit a little bit. Oh, you could do it in a month. Watch this. I'll do it by tonight. That's America. And that's why America's gotten to the point that it's at. It is what it is. And so the ChatGPT board member leaves for whatever safety reasons. I was hearing about this on Morning Brew, and it is pretty scary. Where it's like these companies will get greedy to win the race to the dominant AI position. And any movie we've seen, movies emulate what happens in real life. You see world disasters in movies, that shit's gonna happen here. You see romantic love, you see, oh my gosh, what a story. Wow, all this dancing and stuff. That happens in real life. Anything you see in movies, electric cars, cars that can go in water, all that stuff, people jumping off of airplanes, parachuting, oh, new plane, all of that exists. And in any robot movie that we've seen, whether it's iRobot, Age of Ultron, which was, I think, the second iteration of Avengers, anytime the robots get to going, it never ends positively. I don't know what that looks like, right? Whether things can just shut down, whether, people won't be able to access certain buildings, whether things just go rogue because a computer can think for itself way better than a human being can. But what happens in those scenarios then? And I understand people like, oh, you just being, anxious, you just being pessimistic. No, it's a real life worry that you have to have, where it's like, hey, if this thing gets too smart, too fast, without guardrails, what could go wrong? Overall, am I excited for the movement And do I think it's inevitable? Yes, it 100% is. It's 100% coming, and I think it's for the better. I think it's for the better. I understand it will replace 1,000 jobs and it'll probably dent the tech market like we've never seen before. But at least then we'll have more people in craft trades. You know, AI is just supporting craft trades. We'll see people become mechanics. We'll see people become engineers again. We'll see people start farming. This is for the better. This is for the better. I don't need 100 data analysts. I don't need 1,000 project managers. I don't need a software engineer. I don't need someone to run an agile methodology in my company. I don't need these people. We don't need these people. And so the revolution is coming. And so if you guys haven't seen it, I'll try to link it in here. Or you can just go to YouTube and type in Chat-GPT 4.0. Watch that video. The revolution is coming. Okay, one thing I wanted to circle, kind of clear. What the hell am I saying? One thing I wanted to bring to a conclusion before I start talking sports. And look, there's going to be sports every week until the NBA playoffs are done. But one thing I wanted to bring to a conclusion was the Drake and Kendrick beef. The last time I talked about it, I think, everyone had finally released their tracks. It kind of up in the air. And I was Team Drake. And, I called him LeBron and all that stuff. I might have made a mistake. And I apologize. But after I saw this TikTok of everyone dancing to that Kendrick diss, and even I was bumping to it a little bit, like, damn, bro, like this song does smack like that. Kendrick 100% won. I still think y'all disrespectful to ever doubt the greatness of Drake, but Kendrick did win this beef. Besides that, though, when Kendrick Lamar releases his next album, I guarantee y'all not gonna hear them songs anywhere. And it is what it is. And by the time a couple months will pass, Drake will come out with an album and he'll be back on top. And it just is what it is. And I told y'all, this is all just a smoke screen. This was a smoke screen. And as soon as that smoke started dissipating a little bit, we saw that video of P. Diddy beating that girl in the hotel from 2006. And now attention's back on P. Diddy. Apparently I think that on the P. Diddy stuff where it's like they can't even do anything about it because of the statute of limitations and how tragic, but dominoes are falling. Dominoes are falling. People are starting to distance themselves and it's coming. It's inevitable. Now for the NBA playoffs. I told y'all I'm going to be talking about this every week until the end. And yesterday I got to witness both of the game 7s, one in the Eastern Conference, one in the Western Conference. First, the Knicks Pacers, where the Knicks they didn't have anyone. All of their people are injured. And the Pacers go on to beat them. And honestly, not in that dominant fashion where I thought they would, where it's like, bro, you're playing 4 Knicks that have been in the game all game. Y'all should be faring much better than this. The Knicks go on to lose. Sad story, but man, a bright future. Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't really have much hope for them against Boston. Boston is just, I told y'all, like, I think we discredit them just because they're so good. Where we're used to seeing them be good, and it's like the only way we can fully validate them now, the only way we'll be like, yeah, Boston's for real, is if they win the championship. They have to finally win a championship, right? Every single year before this, they've been winning. They've never just gotten bounced like that. Yeah, Jimmy Butler had a series and he busted their ass, but still, the Indiana Pacers have no chance here. If you have a house, go take a loan out on your house, and don't take my financial advice. This is only for satirical purposes only. Go take a loan out on your house and put it on the Boston Celtics to win this series. Now to the Western Conference. Game 7, Minnesota and Denver. Denver should not have lost that game. If you're up 20, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for slurping like that. Should I cut it out? If you're up 20, and at one point they were down 10, so that's a 30-point swing into Denver's favor. If you're up 20, how do you lose? Like the NBA, there is no safe lead. If you hit a couple of threes, and the big issue I saw here for Denver, and I've seen this with the Boston Celtics a handful of years, where they just started shooting way too many threes and not making them. Like when they did their thing and they were getting inside, someone was cutting, Jamal Murray was doing this, everyone gets flowing, right? Everyone's moving. But when you got Jokic ISO in on the top elbow every single play, and then he ends up out on the 3-point line, everyone else is camping out on the 3-point line. And then, pass, a 3 gets shot, you miss. Minnesota gets the ball, they drive down, maybe get a foul, maybe get a mid-range bucket, maybe a 3 because you double Anthony Edwards. They slowly creep into the game. And then it was a knockout punch, and it was over. And just like that, Minnesota beats the defending champions. And boy, I was wrong. I truly thought Denver was going to just take care of them after losing those first 2. And it was happening. It was 100% happening. And then to score 70 points, when I saw that, I didn't get to watch a lot of these games because I was in Italy, but to score 70 points and get blown out by 50 is next level. And man, now we move on to my team. The Dallas Mavericks beat the OKC Thunder. I fully expected this to happen. I think OKC relies too much on one person, and they're too small. And Dallas is just better. Dallas just has a better 1 through 5 than OKC and has a much higher offensive output, which in the playoffs you just 100% need. Dallas goes on to win in 6. Western Conference Finals. The last time they were there, they went on to lose to the person, I guess not person, full team that went on to win the finals, the Golden State Warriors. I was there to witness this, and you could just tell. You could just tell where it's like, yeah, we're probably going to lose this series. Between coaching and just the players in general, and you're going against 3-time champions in Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and Steve Kerr, obviously. You knew we were going to lose. That's experience versus a couple of rookies. Now we get on to this new Dallas team where you have a champion on the team, and then you got a young superstar and a supporting cast against probably the best team in the NBA that is remaining currently, which is the Timberwolves. Do I think the Mavs will beat the Timberwolves? Now, look, I might be bandwagoning a little bit. Actually, that's not bandwagoning. I might just be a little delirious. I'm faithful to my team. I think Dallas has a chance. I say that because I believe our guards are better, but our biggest issue is size. And when you're getting rebounds and you're getting more importantly, if you're getting offensive rebounds and you're getting second chance points and you're getting a chance to throw up more threes than the other team, you essentially will win. You'll win. And that's what I'm scared of, where I don't think Dallas has the size in the 4 or 5 position to secure enough possessions. I think Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington better than, Luka and Kyrie better than Minnesota's 1 and 2. Anthony Edwards, holy shit, we're watching something special. He's going to be a problem. But I worry about Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. My prediction on that side, like I said, I'm staying faithful no matter how delirious it sounds. Dallas in 6 again. And honestly, I believe we have a better chance against them than Denver. Denver, you have a big man that wants to score, like that wants to punish you, that wants to back you down and then go for a bucket. On the Timberwolves side, they're big, but they be shooting threes over there. And if you give Rudy Gobert the ball, that could be the biggest mistake you make in the game. In that first half in Game 7, when Rudy Gobert touched the ball 4 times, they were getting destroyed. Next thing you know, he doesn't really shoot that much. They start winning. So my prediction, once again, Mavs in 6, Boston in 5. That was my sports take for this week. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all like and dislike it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Ajay Patel. I'm glad to be back. I will see you guys all next week. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, drop a couple likes. I think we're going to try to get back on posting shorts again. With that all being said, thank you guys for joining, and goodbye.